And excitement is building ahead of the first match of the NRL season to be played on Australian soil, with the Roosters taking on the Broncos tonight. Miles Holbrook-Walk is at Moore Park already. Good morning to you, Miles. We'll talk about the match in a moment, but there is a lot of drama in the build-up to this round. The Brisbane Broncos CEO has flown home to support player families ahead of the cyclone. There must be a lot of concerned players heading into tonight.
Yeah, naturally so, Catherine. A lot of these players have very young families, children under 2 years old in some instances, and while they're away, it's the rest of the family that has to make sure everyone's safe and okay. And for some of them who could live in flood-affected areas because of this cyclone that is expected to cross around Friday afternoon, now are expecting, there is a high degree of stress. And Michael Maguire, the new head coach of the Brisbane Broncos, spoke about this yesterday, this idea that the CEO of the club, Dave Donaghy, he made the decision. He'd actually come down to Sydney to turn back and go to Brisbane to ensure that families had really an open line to the club's executive and administration to see if there is anything they need in terms of support. What can this NRL club do to provide that to them? Now, there is also this matter of, will these Broncos players be able to get back home to Brisbane on time? Obviously, their game here tonight starts at 8 o'clock local time here, but you do have a flight curfew in Sydney, so it will be a very quick turnaround to get to the airport, and even then it may be too tall an order to get back. And whether or not they can fly up on Friday morning, that may be complicated by weather conditions as well. So there is a lot going on here, and it's truly a movable feast in this match, as well as on Friday night, where we've seen some Dolphins players for Redcliffe who have decided they won't make the trip down to Sydney for their match, which was supposed to be played in Brisbane. It's since been moved to be played at the Western Sydney Stadium in Parramatta against South Sydney Rabbitohs. So you've already had Cody Nikorima, Mark Nichols and Kenny Bromwich say they don't want to go, they want to remain with their families and will be unavailable for selection. So a lot of players having to contend with a very big decision here, Catherine.
It creates a big selection headache, but also a headache for the NRL, because social media was lighting up with the players' partners talking about their horror and dissatisfaction at the fact the NRL didn't do what the AFL did and just postpone those fixtures.
That's right, and you know, the AFL's not the only one who's changed the schedule of its competition. The Super Netball, as well as the Women's Pro Golf Association, have also changed the structure of their competition setup as well because of this incoming weather. So as a consequence, you've got a situation here where the NRL is kind of left out on its own and deciding to continue on with these matches. Now, particularly we've seen from Bree Nikorima, who posted to Instagram briefly before deleting that post about saying that she was really unhappy with the way the NRL had decided to proceed with this fixture instead of opting to reschedule it. The NRL admittedly is grappling and juggling a few balls, I guess, here in the air in terms of the nature of their schedule. They have to obligations to commercial broadcasters as well, perhaps they were thinking about. All of that is obviously going to be weighed against the impact of this cyclone, how it leaves these families who are having to contend with it, and whether or not the support provided to them was enough, and whether or not the decision to play the match, particularly on Friday night between Redcliffe Dolphins and South Sydney Rabbitohs, was a wise one in the end.